Commanders Nation, major bombshell in DC, 2 first-rounders for a top 3 edge rusher, a CFP playoff wideout falling to pick number 7, and 3 vets packing their bags to clear up $20 million. An elite cornerback with just 9 games played, brutal calls on the O-line, and some tough but necessary sacrifices. With Jaden still on his rookie deal, this is our window, and the front office is going all in. Who's coming in, who's out, and why these next 30 days could shape the next 5 years. Bro, listen up. This is the biggest story of the day, maybe the whole week. Bleacher Report just dropped a bomb. The Commanders might be trading for Max Crosby from the Raiders in a deal that includes 2 first-round picks and a 5th-rounder in 2026. And before you say, that's way too much, let me break down why this move makes all the sense in the world. First, context. Max Crosby is, without a doubt, one of the top 3 edge rushers in the entire NFL. The dude is a beast, a constant disruptor, someone who lives in the opponent's backfield. We're talking about a guy who's averaged over 10 sacks per season the past few years, with a motor that just doesn't quit. And the best part, he's in his prime at 28 years old, with several elite years still ahead. Now, why would the Raiders let him go? Because they're in full rebuild mode, fam. They've got the number 1 pick this year and are looking to start from scratch. Crosby made it clear he was frustrated when the team benched him for the last 2 games of the season to lock in better draft position. That tells you everything you need to know. The guy wants to compete, he wants to win, and the Raiders just aren't in that phase right now. That's where we come in. The Commanders have close to $90 million in cap space, which gives us the flexibility to take on Crosby's contract with no problem. Plus, we've got the number 7 pick in the draft, exactly the kind of asset the Raiders would want to rebuild their defense. It's a win-win, bro. But let's talk about what really matters, what this means for us. It means we'd finally have that elite edge rusher we've been missing for years. Last season, nobody on our roster had more than 6 sacks, besides Von Miller, who's a free agent and probably not coming back. That's just not acceptable for a team trying to be a contender. Dan Quinn knows he needs consistent pressure on opposing QBs for his defensive scheme to work, and Crosby is the perfect fit. Picture this: Crosby coming off the edge, collapsing the pocket, forcing the QB into bad rush decisions. That frees up our linebackers to make plays, gives our DBs more time to cover, and turns the whole defense into a machine. It's the domino effect we've been waiting for, fam. Now I know what you're thinking. 2 first-rounders? Isn't that too much? And look, I get the hesitation, but let me put it in perspective. Jaden Daniels is on his rookie deal for the next 2 years. That's our window to go all in before we have to hand him a massive QB contract. Every year we don't maximize. That window is a wasted opportunity. Crosby gives us a chance to compete now, not 3 years from now when we're hoping a rookie pans out. And historically, these kinds of trades work. The Rams did it with Jalen Ramsey and won a Super Bowl. The Niners have made aggressive moves for proven players, and look where they are. Sometimes you've got to swing big when the window's open. And let's not forget leadership. Crosby isn't just an elite player, he's a vocal leader, someone who raises the bar for everyone around him. That kind of presence in the locker room is priceless, especially for a young team like ours. He'd be the vet who sets the tone for work ethic, intensity, and professionalism. Sure, there are risks. His contract is big, and if he gets hurt, we're in a tough spot. But bro, every move in the NFL comes with risk. The difference here is that this is a calculated risk with massive upside. And honestly, I'd rather regret going big than regret playing it safe and going nowhere. The Raiders have done this before. Back in 2018, they sent Khalil Mack to the Bears for a similar package of picks, and now they might be ready to do it again. The difference is, we're in a better spot than the Bears were back then. We've got a young, talented QB, cap space, and a winning culture that's starting to take shape. So what needs to happen for this to go down? First, the Raiders have to be willing to move Crosby, which seems more and more likely. Second, we've got to be ready to pay the price. And reports say the front office is seriously looking at aggressive options to upgrade the defense. And third, Crosby has to be on board with coming here, which shouldn't be a problem considering we're a young, exciting team with a bright future. Fam, This is the kind of move that changes franchises. It's not a patch. It's not a temporary fix. It's a statement. The Commanders are ready to compete at the highest level, and they're willing to do whatever it takes to get there. If this happens, we're talking about one of the biggest trades in recent team history. All right, bro, take a breath, because that was heavy. But hold up, what's coming next is just as wild. If Crosby is the defensive piece we need, the next story is about how we're going to supercharge Jayden Daniels on offense. And trust me, you're going to love this. News 2. Commanders could draft Jordan Tyson. Okay, fam, let's talk offense. Because while Crosby could fix our defense, we also need to make sure Jayden Daniels has all the tools to dominate. And according to a recent USA Today mock draft, the Commanders could take wide receiver Jordan Tyson from Arizona State with the number 7 pick. Now, before you say, another receiver, really? Let me lay it out for you. Yeah, we've got Terry McLaurin, who's an absolute stud and our clear WR1. But after Terry, things get messy. Deebo Samuel is a free agent and might not be back. Zach Ertz is coming off an ACL and is also a free agent. Diami Brown and Jahan Dotson haven't taken that next step. So do we really have enough firepower in the receiving corps? The honest answer is no. That's where Jordan Tyson comes in. And bro, this kid is special. We're talking elite route running, glue hands, the ability to win contested catches, and explosiveness that takes your breath away. In his 2024 season, Tyson racked up 75 catches for 1,101 yards and 10 touchdowns, leading Arizona State to the college football playoff. Those numbers don't lie, fam. But what really gets me hyped about Tyson isn't just the stats. It's how he plays. The dude's release at the top of his routes is just sick. He creates separation consistently, which is exactly what Jayden needs. Let's be real. One of the reasons Jayden regressed in 2025 was the lack of reliable options after Terry. Tyson changes that instantly. And let's talk versatility. Tyson can line up in the slot, outside, run deep, intermediate or short routes. He's a complete receiver who'd give Cliff Kingsbury, or whoever ends up being our OC, a ton of options to scheme up plays. Picture this, Terry on one side, Tyson on the other, and Jayden with a clean pocket. That's a nightmare for any defense, bro. Now there's a valid argument that we should use that pick on defense. Maybe another pass rusher. And yeah, I get that. If we don't land Crosby in a trade, then sure, we probably go for someone like David Bailey from Texas Tech or Ruben Banchero Jr. from Miami. But if Crosby's already here, then the defensive need drops big time. And that's when Tyson becomes the obvious choice. Also, timing matters. Jayden's heading into year 2, which is huge for his development. Giving him a weapon like Tyson at this critical point could fast-track his growth and turn him into a legit MVP candidate. We're not talking about waiting 3 years for a rookie to develop. We're talking about immediate impact. Sure, Tyson has areas to improve. The scouting report says he could use a bit more muscle to handle the grind of a 17-game NFL season. But that's something a pro-strength and conditioning program can handle. It's not a major concern, fam. And if for some reason Tyson's not available at pick 7, or we go in a different direction in round 1, we've still got options. Our next pick is in round 3, and there are some solid receivers who could be there. But honestly, if Tyson's on the board when we're on the clock, it's going to be hard to pass him up. Think about it like this. We're building around Jayden. Every move we make in the next 2 years should be about maximizing his potential. Crosby on defense, Tyson on offense. That's balance. That's vision. That's how you build a real contender. And don't forget the intangibles. Tyson played for an Arizona State team that made a deep playoff run. He knows what it's like to compete on the biggest stage, and that experience is huge. We're not talking about a guy who just put up numbers in meaningless games. We're talking about someone who showed up when the lights were brightest. So yeah, fam, Jordan Tyson at pick 7 makes all the sense. He gives us depth, talent, versatility, and gives Jayden another lethal weapon. And if we pair that with the defensive moves we just talked about, we're looking at a roster that can go toe-to-toe with anyone in the NFC. All right, bro, We've talked about how to upgrade the roster by bringing in new talent, but now comes the part nobody likes to talk about. But it's just as important: who we need to let go, because to make room, both in cap and on the roster, some tough calls have to be made. And the next story is exactly about that. News 3. 3 prime candidates to be cut by the Commanders. Okay, fam, real talk. This one stings, but it's necessary. The Commanders have close to $100 million in cap space, which sounds amazing, but we could have even more if we make some smart calls on players who just aren't living up to their contracts. And according to reports, 3 names are at the top of the cut list: Marshon Lattimore, Nick Allegretti, and Nick Bellore. Let's start with the elephant in room: Marshon Lattimore. Bro, when we traded for him from the Saints back in November 2024, we were all hyped. Finally, a shutdown corner who could lock down the league's best receivers. But the reality? Kinda disappointing. Lattimore played just 9 games this season and had only 27 tackles. That's the lowest total of his entire career, fam. And it's not just about the tackles, it's about overall impact. We didn't see the dominant plays we expected. We didn't see that intimidating presence that makes QBs think twice before throwing his way. He just wasn't that guy. And here's the kicker: we can save $500,000 in cap space by cutting him with 0 dead cap. Read that again: $18.5 million. That's money we could use to sign free agents, extend key players, or take on a contract like Crosby's. It's a no-brainer, bro. I know it hurts. Nobody wants to admit a trade didn't work out. But smart organizations know when something isn't working and have the guts to make the right move. Lattimore's clearly on the decline, and paying him like an elite corner when he's not playing like one is just bad business. Next up, Nick Retty. Allegretti started all 17 games in his first season with us, which was solid. But this year, only 4 starts. That tells you everything about how the coaching staff sees him. And with a draft class loaded with O-line talent, makes sense to bring in younger, cheaper options. Allegretti's got $6 million left on his deal, but we can save about $2.5 million by cutting him. Not a huge number, but every dollar counts when you're building a competitive roster. Plus, if we're drafting O-linemen, we need to open up roster spots for them. And finally, Nick Bellore, our fullback. Look, fullbacks in today's NFL are basically dinosaurs, and Bellore's making almost $2 million in the final year of his deal. We can save most of that by cutting him with just $247,500 in dead cap. I get it. Bellore's a respected vet and a solid special teams guy. But the truth is, we can replace that production with someone younger and cheaper. It's a financial decision, plain and simple. And in a league where every penny matters, it makes sense. Now let's zoom out. Cutting these 3 guys gives us over $20 million more in cap space. Add that to the nearly $90 million we already have, and we're looking at over $110 million to play with in free agency and trades. That puts us in the mix for any player out there, fam. But here's the thing: cutting players is never easy. These are human beings with families, careers, and dreams. And as fans, it's tough to see someone who came here hoping to contribute get shown the door. But at the same time, the NFL is a business. And if we want to compete at the highest level, we've got to make tough calls. Lattimore's the obvious one. His production doesn't match his paycheck, period. Allegretti's a tougher call because he was solid early on. But if he's not part of the long-term plan, better to let him go now. And Bellore, just a victim of how the game's evolved. Fullbacks just aren't what they used to be. What gives me hope is that these moves aren't reactive. They're strategic. We're not cutting guys out of panic. We're doing it because we've got a clear plan for how to use those resources better. That's what smart front offices do, bro. And let's be real. If these cuts help us land Max Crosby, sign a top-tier guard, or give Jaden more weapons, they'll be totally worth it. Sometimes you've got to take a step back to take 2 steps forward. So yeah, fam, these are the 3 names to watch. Lattimore's almost definitely gone. Allegretti probably too. Bellore's the least certain, but I wouldn't be shocked. And when you see those official announcements, remember, it's not the end of the world. It's part of the process. And if everything goes right, we'll look back in a couple years and say, Those were the right moves. All right, fam, that's it for today. 3 massive stories that could reshape the future of this franchise. A blockbuster trade for Max Crosby that gives us the edge rusher we've been dying for. A draft pick in Jordan Tyson that gives Jaden Daniels another lethal weapon. And strategic cuts that free up over $20 million in cap space to make it all happen. This is what being a real contender looks like, bro. It's not just about winning games. It's about making smart, aggressive, strategic decisions that set you up for long-term success. And honestly, I've never been more excited about where this team is headed. So let me know in the comments. Would you make the trade for Crosby? Do you like Tyson at pick 7? Are you cool with cutting Lattimore? I want to hear your takes, fam, because at the end of the day, this is a conversation between fans who love this team. And if you like this video, you know what to do. Hit that like button, share it with your fellow Commanders fans, and subscribe if you haven't already. I drop content every day, and trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. Catch you tomorrow with more news, more analysis, and more hype. HTTR, baby, let's get it.